I guess ranked in the AP poll for the first time this season, back-to-back years. Just I don't know if you guys pay attention to being ranked, but obviously usually a big deal for Utah State.
Yeah, I think it's we talked about, everyone wants to be known on the national level, and the only way to do that is you got to be ranked in that top 25 on the AP poll. So that's a goal that we had as a group, and it's kind of a stepping stone as to what we want to accomplish by the end of the year. So that's one off the checklist, and it's great. You got to celebrate it, of course. You want to be happy, and but at the same time, you got to be humble and understand that it can go away just as fast. So we got to lock in today at practice, and it starts today.
To say that this is these rankings and analytics stuff. Some of that's more important, but it is nice to be able to say you're ranked. Now, and Utah State has if you stumble up here or there, then also a lot of that stuff goes away. So
Yeah.
you just got to, I guess, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. Part of it is enjoying it. Like I said, you want to feel happy for yourself. You want to be proud of the work you put in. But like you said, one slip up, one loss, and it goes away probably for the rest of the season, right? So we already had a slip up with South Florida, and I think that kind of put things into perspective that we can't have nights like that. Even when you're expected to win games, you got to win games by more than what you're expected to win by, right? So we have a chip on our shoulder every single day at practice. We got to be on edge, and that's going to be our kind of our philosophy going into it.
Coach was kind of wondering. Well, first he said he didn't know if you were going to play on Saturday. then he said, "Well, I should never question myself."
Yeah.
How bad was it?
Yeah, it was bad. Just body aches. But not the history we have with Boise and what happened last year at Boise. There was nothing that was going to stop me from playing in that game. I think that there's a lot of games that I have circled, especially with it being my last year, as far as games that I want to be a key factor and an impact. And that was one of those games that when we were there last year that they did to us what we did to them, right? So that was one of those games, and yeah, I wasn't going to miss that one.
Not only did you play, you played pretty well, especially you had a few games where you didn't do as well, but and one of your best games of the year. Just how much more fulfilling was that? Is you basically had your own kind of flu game in a sense.
Yeah, I wish I had 25 points like MJ, and that would have been a better story, But no, I felt great. I think I owe this program a lot more than what I put out this season, and I know that, and I think Coach Calhoun knows that. So I'm just grateful that he's trusted me to continue to play, and play me at the role that he's been playing me at. And I got to step up my game. That's got to be a normal night for me. I got to score the ball more. I got to get MJ, Mason, KT, Gary, Colby. I got to get those guys easy shots. So yeah, it felt good to finally play up to the expectation that I have for myself.
Seems like you're feeling a lot better. Just kind of what was the timeline like, or kind of what was it? Was it a flu bug? Was it kind of just like a cold cycle?
Yeah, I wish I was feeling a lot better right now than I look. Just night before the game, just started getting chills and body aches, and then right before the game had a little nauseous moment, and then after that, it's game time. So I felt good during the game, and then the 4-hour bus ride back wasn't great. And these last couple of days, I'm just trying to hydrate, get back to being healthy. It's a process, same way practice. Got to take care of your body. So.
Coming up this week, obviously, you've won 5 in a row in the conference against some lower teams and on the road at Boise State. But now you've got Nevada at home and Grand Canyon on the road. Just what's the mentality like going into this week to like you talked about, really staying vigilant for both these 2 games?
Yeah, the same mentality we've had all year. You can't let up. We never underestimate anybody. The conference is a good conference. We celebrate every win. We're going to take all the wins we can get. But we also understand that there's a process to that, and that starts today in practice, and then tomorrow. If you don't have a good couple days leading up to the game, then you're setting yourself up for failure coming on Wednesday.
What's it been like having an Elijah Perryman on the team, kind of learning from you and kind of pushing you probably a little bit?
Yeah, it's been great. He's a heck of a player, I'll tell you that. And like you said, he pushes me every single day, whether we're battling against each other or he's right behind me. And it's became kind of a brotherhood. It's kind of nice, Not to say that I want to have bad games, but there's going to be games when you're not at your best. And, that's part of what makes this team so special is that we just have the depth. We have talent all the way down the roster, 10 through 15. And I genuinely believe even in our red shirts, if they got in there, they could make an impact. We just have so much talent on this roster that, sometimes you got to sit back like at Air Force, Played 11 minutes. Elijah's playing a heck of a game. All you can do is kind of sit there and be happy for him, because, whoever deserves to play, that's who coach is going to play.
So you're playing a really kind of hot Nevada team. You know, they're I think 8 wins in the last 9 games to 1 losses to another team that's undefeated in Mountain West play. Just how important does this game become for staying at the top of the Mountain West?
Yeah, every game is massive. You know, this game especially because they're a very good team. They're very disciplined. They're very talented. They play very hard. So we'll get into the scout today. But like you said, you know, being undefeated, everyone's going to have a little target. You've got a target on your back. You're going to get everyone's best shot. So we just have to have the same mindset we did with Boise. Go in and, you know, be relentless, be nasty on both sides of the ball, and everything should take care of itself.
Corey Camper, one of their guards, had 31 points against Wyoming. The whole team shot the ball very well. Just from a guard perspective, what is it going to be like guarding him and trying to limit their group of guards that are scoring the ball?
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I think that it's a very heavy guard league, right? You have a couple of good bigs here and there. We have mostly good bigs, but you know, every night's a challenge, right? And that was one of my main improvements this summer is being able to defend. I'm long, athletic. We got MJ Mason who guard as well, so it's going to be a good challenge. But at the end of the day, I think that, you know, like I said, these next 2 days we got to prepare. We got to be ready to go because you can't let guys have nights like that and expect to win.